Welcome back to the CJC's Training and Technical Assistance series to help subrecipients transition to the new grants management system. This video will take you through the steps to create and submit a subgrant application. This content is designed for key program staff, key fiscal staff, and any other individuals who are responsible for submitting subgrant applications in your organization. A PDF step-by-step guide is available for download. Feel free to pause, rewind, or fast forward to get straight to the information that is most relevant for you. Our first step is to locate a funding opportunity. The CJC will release new funding opportunities in the same ways as before, by invitation or as an open competitive NOFO. CJC is updating its terminology, so you'll notice that what used to be termed a funding announcement is now a funding opportunity, which is consistent with what federal agencies now call their grant solicitations. You'll see funding opportunity in the main header and FO on the left-hand menu as you're navigating different areas of the system. On your landing page, you will see an icon that shows available funding opportunities. All grant NOFOs, whether by invitation or open competitive, will appear here. Once you click on the available funding opportunities, open FOs will appear in a list. We will go through an example of the steps for applying for a grant. The first step is to select the blue button to view details and apply. Please note that this is not an actual open funding opportunity. A fake organization was also used in this example to provide steps for you to apply. Before we get into starting the application, here's a quick rundown of navigation basics in the new system. Once you click to view the funding opportunity, the next page provides an overview of the grant program. Page title is at the top of the screen, and the system offers a shaded box with instructions and helpful hints to accomplish what you need to do in each section. These boxes should look familiar from when you registered your agency or yourself. The new grants management system offers options to toggle between sections and to skip around within the same section. This may only matter to the original eGrants users out there, but you can now use the back button in your browser, but it's much more helpful to stay within the system and to use the home button or the back arrow buttons to return to your home page. Once you have reviewed the overview of the grant award and decide that you want to apply, you can save a PDF version of the funding opportunity, and you can read through the page for the requirements to apply. As you scroll down the Overview tab, the Request for Proposals section summarizes the grant program, including the most basic of details. This section talks about the total available amount, the length of the federal or state grant, and who is eligible to apply. The next section in the Overview tab is the application process and deadline. It tells you what you need to do to submit and by when. Be sure to get started well before the deadline in case you end up needing technical assistance. Then the contact information is listed. For this test FO, Kim Kirk is the listed coordinator. Keep in mind that the coordinator will differ depending on the FO. Lastly, we have room for any additional information and requirements of the funding. This may include a brief background of the funding, the target population, and project requirements. When you've reviewed this info, click the Next button. The Allowable Use of Funds and Supplanting section is new. This notice will appear on every application as it pertains to allowable use for award funds and supplanting. As a reminder, supplanting state or other funds with federal funds is prohibited. Once you read through the information, click the Next button. In the Proposal and Evaluation tab, this section lays out the proposal requirements of the FO, including additional threshold requirements. The section on the bottom half of the page is most relevant to competitive funding opportunities. It tells you how many points are allocated to each section when reviewers go in to score proposals. In the Invitation Details tab section, This is where you can opt in to apply for funding. In this example, it's an invitation to apply. It is not open competitive. So those that are invited to apply would click on the blue Respond to Invitation button to proceed. And they would know how much to apply for because it's stated right in the invitation. The system requires you to opt in. To proceed to your application, ensure that you check the Accept button, and then click the green Accept Invitation button to initiate your application. If, for some reason, your agency does not wish to proceed with the application, select the radio button to decline, and then click the red button at the bottom to decline the invitation. Keep in mind that this page will look slightly different for competitive subgrant applications. Rather than accept invitation, it will say apply for funding opportunity. Once you accept the invitation or proceed to make a competitive application, you will select your own role on the project. What eGrants called program creators, the new system more appropriately calls project directors. While anyone may create an application on behalf of their agency, only project directors and financial officers can click the Submit button. What eGrants called program readers, the new system more appropriately calls project collaborators. Project collaborators can create applications and create or submit quarterly program reports. The key difference is that collaborators cannot submit applications. What eGrants called financial creators, the new system more appropriately calls financial officers. Financial officers can edit applications and create or submit fiscal reports. What eGrants called financial readers, the new system more appropriately calls financial collaborators. Financial collaborators can create applications and create or submit fiscal reports. A key difference is they cannot submit applications, but they can edit and contribute. So essentially, the biggest difference in the roles is that all people associated with your organization can create applications and edit content, including quarterly reports in the post-award phase. However, only project directors or financial officers can click the Submit button on the application. Zooming out on that page, you select your role, and then you'll confirm that your organization meets the eligibility requirements. Lastly, if you are ready to get to applying, click Proceed. Notice that you also have the ability to withdraw your application if you decide your agency does not meet the eligibility requirements or if you've changed your mind. You have the option throughout the process to withdraw your application if you so choose. Now we will get into some basic tips to assist you with navigating your applications. The bottom bar in the subgrant application has various options. The new system allows you to save your application at any point, regardless of if all fields are completed. The Validate button shows any errors within the application. The system even highlights them for you. The Submit button will only work if all sections are complete and any errors are fixed. The system includes back and next buttons that you can use to toggle between sections. You can also withdraw your application, again, at any time if you no longer wish to proceed. However, be aware that this action cannot be undone. You can save and exit the application at any time, but you cannot revisit it if you withdraw. If you accidentally withdraw an application, you will need to contact the coordinator to seek guidance. This bar across the bottom of your screen will be your shortcut for navigating between sections. Please be sure to validate and save frequently. Once you initiate the start of an application, here are some additional features to assist with orienting yourself. You can find the grant ID at the top of the application. This will be visible as you navigate each section of it. There are tabs for each section of the grant application that you can click between and view the content to see what is required in each section. You can also confirm your organization's information is correct. Follow the directions to make any changes if needed. Now we're going to dive into the grant application itself. The General tab is the section where you will add additional contacts to have access to the grant application. There are instructions for how to add contacts to the grant. These instructions will appear every time. The applications require one project director and one fiscal officer to be assigned before it can be submitted. Unlimited project collaborators and financial collaborators can be added. These roles will have access to and receive notifications regarding the subgrant application before submission, post-award project requirements, and alerts regarding quarterly reports and project modifications. The next part of the application is the Organization tab. Your mission statement will auto-load into the application and is taken directly from your organization's profile. You will see what sections are required to complete as marked with an asterisk. You will need to provide more information about your organization, including existing projects and services, a description of past experiences working with the target population or providing services to them, and an area to demonstrate the organization's ability to successfully implement the project. This is an opportunity to clearly and concisely connect your services to the scope of the funding source. Still under the Organization tab, the first time you complete this section, you'll answer the questions and the system will save some responses associated with your agency. For example, these files will be associated with your organization after being attached to your first subgrant application. Hot tip here. Future grant applications will have the option to select and verify previously loaded documents. We are very excited about this. In the Organization Experience section, depending on your answers for these questions, they may trigger additional questions in the system. So we really tried to customize the experience for you. The Project tab of the application has questions related to the program or project that will be implemented with the grant funds. Some grants will have categories. These categories will vary depending on the funding source. In the current example, we see prevention and intervention as the two category options. Staying in the Project tab, select the start and end dates of your project based on the allowability of the funding source. The highlighted dates show the time frame that the grant may fall within. You will need to indicate if this is a new, existing, or expansion of a project. The response you select, again, may trigger additional questions in the system. Be aware that as you scroll through the project requirements, these notes will appear on every subgrant application. These are requirements passed down by our funders regarding construction and capital improvements and projects that impact the environment. Essentially, they all remain unallowable. We also want to remind you that the listed name of the coordinator will change depending on who is assigned within our office. Still within the project section is where goals and objectives should be added. You will click the Add Edit button to add your project goals. You will click the Add Edit Project Objectives to add implementation, performance, and impact objectives. A pop-up page will appear to add your grant goals. There are instructions on the page that provide direction for how to add goals. Rather than one large text box like there was in eGrants, each goal is added individually by clicking the plus button. Then all you need to do is click Save. Like adding goals, a pop-up page will appear to add your objectives. Each individual objective can be easily added along with targets and timeframes. Follow the listed instructions for each section. After adding the objectives, click Save. After adding your individual goals and objectives, you will now see them all clearly outlined. These goals and objectives will show as such in future quarterly reports, and we hope it will make reporting much easier. The Population tab has questions related to who the project will serve. This section needs to show your vision for who and how many people you plan to serve with your program. A new series of questions is now included in the grant applications relating to working with minors. When you select yes to this question, more information is requested. The checklist on suitability to interact with minors includes various questions specified by the U.S. Department of Justice. You can visit the OJP website via the clickable link within the system on this page for more information. The answers you provide must align with your agency's policy and practices on interacting with minors. Documentation will be requested during subsequent monitor visits. To make this process easier for you, we integrated the entire checklist into the new system, including the area to list any individuals working with minors by name. If this list of individuals needs to be updated, please reach out to your subgrant monitor and/or coordinator for further guidance. In the Service Area tab of the application, you will find questions related to where the subgrant activities will be carried out. This section is most relevant when the funding opportunity calls for specific priority areas for service provision, such as urban, rural, suburban. The Evaluation tab has questions about how your agency plans to measure progress, how you will track and manage data, and how you plan to sustain this program if the funding runs out. This section is your opportunity to show how capable your agency is when it comes to documenting outcomes of grant funding and how you plan for the future. Also under the Evaluation tab are Performance Measurement Targets, or PMTs. Some grants have preset PMTs. The goal is for coordinators to have the option to enter federal PMT questions into our new system, but this will be done on a case-by-case basis. Remember the performance indicators from eGrants? Well, this is where they will appear in the new system. While there may be preset PMTs, the target numbers are set by your organization. There may also be a section to add your own custom PMT questions. When you click the button to add performance measures, a separate page pops up. You can set the target numbers and add custom measurements down here. Then, click to save. These performance measurements will also appear in your quarterly reports. The Budget tab of the application is where you will add the entire budget for your grant. You can add budget items by clicking on the blue Add/Edit Budget button. This page will display the budget breakdown in real time once changes are made. This is the page that pops up when you want to add a budget line item. There are instructions on the page to assist with adding line items, and it also shows you the total allowable amount that you can apply for, as well as if any match funds are required. This section overall is much more intuitive. You click the plus button to add a new budget line item. You will still need to provide accurate estimates and computations, just like you did in eGrants, but the new system takes some of the calculations and the guesswork out of your workload. The last thing we want to point out is that in each budget category, you can add the match amount and the match type if it is applicable to your funding source. It even adds the match from line item to line item. Another neat feature of the system is that the budget detail and the budget narrative are now in one place. Instead of a separate budget narrative section, the justification for each budget item now appears under each budget category. You are still required to justify all budget items by relating it back to your subgrant program. To complete this example of items you might add to different budget categories, we now see that the budget shows a summary on the main budget page, and it also shows a breakdown of the funding source, including match. The Other tab is the final portion of the application, and it covers a variety of requirements. This tab will first ask about your eSupplier ID. This will auto-load onto future applications and appear on your organization profile in the grants management system. An eSupplier ID is what is used to reimburse the grant funds to your agency. If your organization does not have an existing eSupplier ID, please go to https //esupplier.erp.delaware.gov/. Disclosure of lobbying activities is the next requirement for applying for grant funds. This form is now integrated into the system, still in the Other category. If you select Yes for any lobbying activities, additional questions will appear and are required to be answered. This will include adding any individuals who will be performing lobbying services. Keep in mind that federal funding prohibits lobbying in most cases, so anyone at your agency who does engage in lobbying should not be doing so on grant time. When complete, check the box to certify that the information is correct. No more having to upload a separate attachment. This page requires you to certify that your agency is not presently debarred, suspended, proposed for debarment, declared ineligible, or voluntarily excluded from participation in this funding opportunity by any federal department or agency. This page also certifies that you are not using these funds to lobby. These forms used to be requested as attachments in eGrants, but again, they're now integrated right into the system. All you have to do is check the box to agree, and it will be time-stamped and have the name of the person who certified it. Lastly, mirroring the debarment certification, the application assurances are embedded into the application. Very broadly, this page certifies that your agency is eligible to apply for these funds and that you promise to adhere to all applicable laws and special conditions. At the bottom, you can see a box to check to agree to the assurances. Just like previous sections, it will be time-stamped and have the name of the person who certified it. So what does submitting an application look like? How do you know that you're ready to submit? Well, have all the boxes been checked? Are all of the fields completed? Then you can validate to ensure that there are no errors. And after successful validation, all you have to do is click submit. No marking sections as complete. No additional signature pages are required. Again, we really wanted to make this process as easy and intuitive as possible. And the final reminder here is that a project director or fiscal officer are the only roles that are able to submit your application. If you are experiencing trouble with any aspect of submitting your application, please contact our general help email at cjc_grant_support@delaware.gov. Thank you so much for joining us. We hope you will reach out to us if you have any questions. The next video in this training series is how to review feedback on your application and accepting the award.